A little bit of work to do on the airplane before the mechanic gets here. Of course, I've got to mount the wing, and that's the biggest thing I've got to do. Actually, I got a big portion of that done. I had new control cables for the mixture, carburetor heat, cabin heat. I got those put in. That was the biggest thing I think I had to do. I pulled the spark plugs, cleaned them, checked them. They're all in good shape now. Last summer, when the mechanic was here to do the 100-hour on the airplane, he found what he thought was corrosion inside this one float compartment. So I've pulled all the covers off the float compartments here and got all the water out of them so I can inspect those real close. And this one float compartment looked like it had corrosion in it, and that's what the mechanic had found. But when I got to looking at it, it wasn't corrosion. It looks like it was either bird droppings or soap or something like that that went in down through a seam here. This is where the float pump out is, and this is just a plastic cup that goes down in there, and it's riveted onto the float. Well, there's the gaps in there where it didn't get sealed down tight to the float, and it looked like something got in down through there. Like I said, either bird droppings or soap from when I washed the airplane, and it got down through there and dripped down on the bulkhead right there. And it looked like corrosion. It was white powdery stuff, but once I got to cleaning it up, I could see that it wasn't corrosion, which was a big relief. So on the left-hand side of the airplane, there's windows there that slide back and forth. And as they slide back and forth over time, they start getting scratches on them. I'd replaced the rear one once, not too long ago. It's getting scratches on it again now. So maybe I should take it out and replace it too. But the one for the front one, for the Pilot, that one was getting fairly scratched up. So I've taken it out. I've got it up in the basement. Maybe I'll go ahead and do that one for the back seat too while I'm doing it. I'll see how much plastic I've got left. But that's about all that needs to be done on here. You're going to have to pull the inspection covers off the tail and take a good look at it, but I think it's in pretty good shape. I pulled the ELT out of it. I've got a new ELT battery ordered, and I just got word from the air cargo company that it's here. And I've got new batteries coming for the annunciator panels on there. Those need to be changed this year. Otherwise, I think she's in pretty good shape. Just wish it was flying right now. One of the things I've got to do on the airplane, or decided to do on the airplane, was fix the side windows. So the side windows are basically just a flat sheet of plexiglass, and they sit in slots in the side of the fuselage of the airplane. One of them is next to the pilot, and the other one's next to the backseat passenger, and the front one slides backwards to open up, and the rear one slides forward to open up. Well, one of the things that happens as they slide back and forth is you get scratches on them, and then they get hard to see through. And since we're dependent on what we can see through the windows of the airplane, looking for fish and stuff like that in the water, they get a little bit distracting, harder to see through this, and you lose a little bit of the visibility. So one of the things I want to do on that is to replace the window. I've cut out a new piece of plexiglass here for the front one. Got it shaped. I just went down and fitted it in there, and it fits in there fine. But you got to be able to get a hold of it somehow to slide it back and forth. Well, on this one, when I built it, I took a piece of 3/4 inch thick, or maybe it was 1 inch thick plexiglass, and cut out a rectangular shape, and then I edged it here on a router with just a cove bit, and then it took some polishing and stuff to get it polished up, and I glued it onto that window. Well, I had two of them. I had one glued onto the outside and one glued onto the inside. The one on the outside has fell off a couple of times. So thinking about that, earlier this winter, I ordered some different sizes of acrylic rod. I think this is 2 inch. I wasn't sure exactly what size I wanted. Yeah, that's 2 inch. So I ordered some different sizes. And actually 2 inch might be bigger than what I want now that I've got it mounted up on there. What I was going to do is go ahead and kind of just round this over a little bit, kind of make a knob out of it, and then turn it down in so it's smaller diameter on the inside, so there's a definite grab on it. Maybe I'll get a smaller one and see what I can do with that, a smaller diameter one. I do have some smaller diameter ones. Let me face this one off and see what it looks like after it's faced off. Got to turn everything on. It's still plugged in. I moved the lathe. I guess I have used it since I moved it over here once, but yeah, I think I'm going to use a smaller piece than that. That 2-inch diameter one is just a little bigger. I mean, I can turn it down, of course, but I've got some smaller diameter pieces already, so let's see what we can do. There's a 1.5-inch diameter piece. That one's a little closer to what I want, I think. Don't even know why I'm facing that off, because I'm going to freehand shape it. Alright, I got the knob glued on there. I think that turned out pretty good. There it is. I just roughed it out round on this side, and then the same on this side with the same tool, just a tool steel bit. Turned it down on the bottom there, and then I smoothed it up with a file, and then 220 sandpaper, 320 sandpaper, 400, 600, and 1000, and then while it was spinning on there I took a torch and heated it up and just glossed it there a little bit. It's not perfectly clear, but it's pretty close. And then I glued it on with some of this weld-on acrylic glue, fast set glue. Just pick it up in kind of a syringe bottle like this, and it just takes a little bit. You just stick it on there, and the capillary action will wick it right in there underneath, and then that makes a pretty solid bond. That's what I did with this one here. I'd made this one out of some flat stock instead of bar stock or round, and glued it on there, and it's held on pretty good for the last 5 or 6 years. I had one glued on here on the outside, there on the outside like that, and that one came off a couple times, but the one on the inside held on pretty good. So I wanted this one to be kind of round. I don't like square shapes in my airplane or around where I'm sitting. In case something happens, you get banged into it and you get some bodily injury from a square shape or sharp edges. But I wanted it to come down on the inside here, because I take a bungee cord. I've got a piece of bungee attached to the fuselage forward of the window that I bring up and wrap around that to help close that window close when we're flying. Well, I've got another piece of acrylic rod stuck in here now. I want another knob to go on the outside, but I don't need it to be as big as the one on the inside. I'm not going to taper it or have it tapered down. So this rod is just about the same size as what I turned that base of that one down to. So I'm just going to round this over on the outside edge and then cut it off and glue it on there, so this will be a handle for opening and closing that window on the outside. And it doesn't have to stick out very far or anything. It just stick out far enough that you can get your hand on it pretty easily. So I've got my high-speed steel tool bit in there sharpened up, and that was cutting pretty good. I turned the lathe up to 600 RPM, and that seems to cut pretty good like that. Go ahead, I think I go ahead and face this off. Not that it matters, I don't really even need to face it off, because I'm going to round it over anyway, and that's going to face it off, but let's do it anyway just for good measure. Alright, that's good enough. Just take the sharp edge. All I was doing was moving the carriage back at the same time I was moving it forward. Alright, that's better. That's enough of a knob that I can get a hold of that with my fingers, I think, to open the window. All it needs is just enough to get your fingertips in there to slide that window open from the outside. That's how you got to get in and out of the plane. Is the door on the right side latches closed from the inside. So you've got to open the window, reach across the fuselage of the airplane and close the door to latch it, and then close the window. Well, it's the same thing when you get ready to open everything up. You've got to get up on the left side, slide the window open, reach across, and open the door. Well, there's my knobs. This is going to be on the outside. Just a little knob. Let's see here. Little knob right here. That's enough to grab it from the outside and slide it. And I got the bigger knob here, and you can actually see right through those. They act like a magnifying glass. It almost looked like it's one piece. See how long they hold on there, but it should be pretty good. I didn't get this polished quite as much as I could have, but it's good enough for who it's for. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Okay. I brought that new front window down here, stuck it in the airplane. Well, just stuck it inside the airplane. And then I took the back window out. I was going to take it up to the basement and make a new one. I got to looking at it, decided to try something. I went ahead and took it over and cleaned it up with some polish and polished it up. And it's got some scratches in it, but it's not bad enough to worry about changing yet. Front one looks like it's not even there, but the back one isn't that bad for right now. So we'll just go ahead and leave it in there for now. I just cleaned it up and waxed it and polished it and stuff, and it'll be fine. I know how to make a new one if I need to. I still got some material left.